Hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Made Naraya,
My name is Gryfell Timothy Raja Putra Temangor.
And my name is Maria Cintasari.
and we're from Group 14. In this quantitative meta assignment, we will give a video of explanation of one of the research designs, which are the intervention studies. We will start the presentation. Next. Wait, I cannot find the next. Oh, okay.
So the definition of intervention research is the systematic study of purposive change strategies. The goal of intervention studies is to test the efficacy of specific treatments or preventative measures by assigning individual objects to one of two or more treatment or options. Intervention studies often test the efficacy of drugs, but one might also use this design to test the efficacy of differing management strategies or regimens. So this would be the illustration of intervention studies. Okay, next slide, please. So there are two types of intervention studies. The first one is individual study. The treatment or intervention is allocated to individuals. For example, investigators recently compared the effectiveness of glucosamine and chondroitin and several other drugs in their ability to relieve symptoms of osteoarthritis. Subjects were randomly assigned to receive one or several possible treatments, and they were followed and assessed for pain relief and other measures. The second type of intervention study is a group or community intervention study. It allocates the intervention to a group of subjects because it would be difficult to give the intervention to some people in the group while withholding it from others. Generally, this is conducted when the intervention inherently operates at a group level, for example, changing a law or policy. An example of community intervention studies might be in a comparison between the effectiveness of a community-based educational program in Tanzania, in which some villages receive an educational program, but others do not.
There are several examples of interventional studies. In the context of medical science, it will be a study in which the investigator randomly assigns the participant to receive either aspirin or a placebo for a specific duration to determine whether the drug has an effect on the filtering of developing cerebrovascular event. In this example, giving the subject a considerable amount of aspirin is the act of intervention, and the result of cerebrovascular event of the subject is the outcome of the act of intervention. Interventional studies in the context of human or social science are also commonly referred to as trials. But in trials, we expecting the result of certain situations based on certain rules and regulations, so does the general concept of interventional studies. On the other hand, we also have an example what we call as sociological intervention, which is a singular method with a paradoxical outcome. The aim of the method is to uncover and analyze social relations in order to define the different dimensions that structures the action of the actors. To achieve this, the investigator will organizing meetings of group composed of 10 to 15 people in order to discuss a specific issue, in which these individuals share either the same commitment or experience, but do not know one another. In other words, they all are strangers. The investigator then made the individuals in the group meet on several occasions to analyze the different components of the action. The result of the meeting session are knowing and finding the nature of the actor's social and relation interaction, as well to open the way of self-analysis and reflection to develop and expand them further.
Thank you, Raja and Maria. I think I would like to go follow on the process of an interventions research. There are 5 basic steps in starting intervention research. The first step is the develop the problem and the program. It could be developing the theory, developing what are the problem, developing the what are the intervention that the researcher want to be intervened. And the second step is to specify the program structures and the process. This is basically the theoretical framework of intervention research, is to develop the draft and specify the essential programs and the criteria, the making a pilot program if it's necessary, and expand the content to address the real training and the practical implementations. And the third step is to refine and confirm in the efficacy test. This is the testing part, is to maintain the high control and test the intervention components, and then estimates also the effect sizes and tests for moderation and mediations, and develop the rules of adaptation based on moderation, and mediation tests community values and needs and other issues. Basically, these are the methodology, is to really comprehend that the methodology to before really testing the intervention is valid. And the first step is to uh, test the effectiveness in the experiment. Is to do the intervention under the scale conditions in multiple sites, and also estimate the effects and the effects on the efficacy success. And the last steps, the fifth steps, is to disseminate programs, finding, and materials, and is to analyze the uh, effects, and also after that publish the findings. The research design for intervention studies are varies in the content and the context of the substance of the research. Perhaps in the clinical trials, there are basic rules, basic steps that we want to do in the intervention studies. There are the phase 1 until phase 4 that usually used to test a drug or a vaccine, for example. And another research design could be used in the psychological studies. There are first you need to review the literature, design the survey plan, and then make the questionnaire, make the data entry and analyze. And then from the randomness of the group, you could make a group for intervention and a group for the control group that not getting any interventions, and use the usual activity. And then after that, you could evaluate the effects and then analyze. It's simple actually. And then these are the use of interventions research in tobacco marketing, that to find out how tobacco affect the willingness of consumers to use tobacco. But at the end of the day, there are also a cycle that you could be seen in the intervention studies design. The steps are the same with the first one that I explained before, but then it could be seen as a cycle that it's evaluate and then restart the assessment to make a new intervention studies. And then that's all for our group. We are very sorry if there are any mistakes that we're presenting. We are really thankful for your attention to listen to our presentation. I'm Naraya, and here are my colleagues.
I'm Maria.
Raja.
And we're from Group 14. Thank you for attention. Goodbye.